Do something. It says we're live. Oh, no. Guys, we are live. I am sorry that we're a little bit late. We had a tiny technical glitch, but all is well. And I am here today, so excited to welcome all of you. It's been a while since I've gone live, and there's so many new faces here. I thought I'd make this a regular thing for a little while. And I wanted to talk to you guys about spring and spring energy and what we can do to kind of like capitalize on that. And I invited my friend and colleague Laura Mak Quist. Am I saying your name right, Laura?
You are, yeah.
Yeah. Laura's a former professional athlete turned certified lifestyle fitness and yoga coach. She is the founder of the Yoga FitLife, and she has helped women for over 25 years ditch belly fat and brain fog so they can transform into a new chapter of life filled with passion, purpose, and wellness. She's an expert on women's health, on movement, on yoga and strength, and aging gracefully, finding joy, and resetting your mind to reset your body. She's my kind of woman, you guys. So we are so excited to be able to talk to you guys today about what you can do. What are the first next best steps that you can take in order to start moving in the right direction and start feeling better overall on all areas of your life?
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me here. I just love the topic that we get to talk about. I mean, talk about a wonderful time to start about that spring reset. We're just starting to get into this nice weather and spring cleaning, and the same thing we can do with our body is a spring cleansing and getting into new movements and kind of welcoming a fresh start.
Yeah, I think the timing of this, we've had I don't know about you, but I know you're in Seattle, right? Like in
Yeah.
San Diego, we've had a ton of rain. I have not moved as much as I normally would as a result of that because you're so accustomed to being outdoors and hiking and being in the sun, which is such a great regulator of your metabolism. And if you're inside all the time, you're kind of sluggish, kind of slow, kind of feeling bleh,
Totally.
just overall feeling sort of like, oh, I don't really feel like doing very much and kind of getting by with very little. So I wanted to kind of touch on how I like to work with people, because I think the first step is obviously to get into your head that it's okay to keep moving. It's okay to start looking after yourself. And even if there's stuff going on in the external world that might be getting in your way, look at what those things are. What are those barriers to you actually taking care of yourself, and make a decision to start in some small way now. Just start today with whatever that is, right? So,
Absolutely.
right. So, and I think you work in the same way, because you mentioned to me in the past that, your way of working with people isn't just about like, oh, they're going to work with you and train with you. Like, you have to work on their minds. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So when people start to work with me, primarily they start with the exercise and the movement throughout the body. However, I always sprinkle in these mindset upgrades. And so just talking about, how are ways that you can add bonuses into your body, into your mind, whether it's changing your thoughts. Is this helping my brain or is this hurting my brain? Is this helping my strength? Is this hurting my strength? So just different kinds of things, whether it's like the food that we're eating, the choices that we're making. Should I relax after dinner, or could I just go for a 10-minute walk with the dog after dinner? And maybe my husband will join me and we can have a little quality talk time together. Or can I wake up and have the kids do some sit-ups and push-ups with me in the morning? What are some of the things that you can add into your routine versus I always like to add in things versus like taking things away. I feel like as soon as you start saying, okay, we can't do that anymore, and you can't have this cake, and you can't do this type of exercise because that's not good for you anymore. But what can we add in that would be really good for you? How can we add in more movement? How can we add in better nutrition? How can we add in better thoughts? Starting your day with a mindset mantra of like, I always, when my alarm goes off, I always hit snooze. But the reason I hit snooze, not because I want to stay in bed longer and like snooze longer, but I actually use that time to stay within myself. And I actually say some prayers and say, I pray and say, let this be a good day. I thank you for the blessings, and, let me share energy with others. And just, depending on what my focus is for that day, I'll say these prayers and really kind of center my day. So then my mindset is working on that and remembering that throughout the day. And then that kind of gives me that little barrier. Am I still focused with that? Or did I veer off and come back? So those are a few of the things that are important and that I like to encourage others to think about.
Well, I love that, because I do that as well in terms of like being intentional. And I call it like, if you want to really to elevate your life, you have to be intentional, because so often we function from a place of automatic, and where all these unconscious habits, beliefs, programs, scripts, they're all kind of running in the background, and they're driving us, and we're not, and we don't realize where they're driving us to, because it's almost like, well, if I've got all this background noise and I haven't been able to kind of filter it out and be very clear and intentional about where I want to get to, how are you going to get there if you're not being clear and intentional about it, right? And you're just being sort of bombarded by, I don't know, even like conditioning, familial conditioning, cultural conditioning, all the different things that can influence a person's mindset and thoughts, right? So I love that, the first thing that you do as you open your eyes is that you get intentional, you pray, you dedicate, your day to it being a good day. That's how I do it. I just, offer it up and I say, look, this is going to be a great day. And thank you for the gift of being here. And what can I do with it? Like, show me what I can do, lead me where I need to go. So some guided visualization for me is always like a great way to get going too. I don't always do it as soon as I wake up, because I do wake up pretty hungry. So I get up and I want to get going so I can, and that's a good sign, by the way, folks. Like if you wake up and you're hungry, that means your metabolism is working, right? So that you're
Yeah.
trying to feed that fuel, that fire. So I wake up and I'm usually a little bit hungry. I say my thank you, my gratitude, and then get something to eat. And once I kind of get through like the first slog of emails for a couple of hours, then I have some time set aside for being intentional and for co-creating with God, So I don't know, what else are some of your other tips for creating a healthier, happier you?
And just going on the visualization, I like to talk about that because that's actually something that I learned as a kid. I was a gymnast growing up, and I had qualified for the special camp, and we had this coach who was this Eastern European coach, and I learned so many things from him, like plyometric training and visualization. And so he really had taught us. And there's two types of visualization. The type that, like if you're closing your eyes and you were to see the movie screen and you're the main lead on the screen and you can see what you're doing, you can see your muscles working, you can see your body strengthening and your posture lifting. And then the second one of the visualization is when you actually feel it, like pretending you're on the stage and you are the lead. You see the audience, the lights are in your eyes. So, you can't see but the first 3 rows or 4 rows, and you're going through the movements, or, if you're going through the movements of your day, like, okay, well, I know at this point I'm going to be getting my workout. I'm going to feel a little bit tired, but it's going to be great. And then I get to look forward to going through the rest of your day and just appreciating those moments, but visualizing it and assuming it's going to be great, assuming that you're going to receive a blessing and already be thankful for it. So those are 2 different types of visualization. The first one is easier. The second one takes a little bit more practice to get into the habit of seeing that way. So knowing what you want to taking it into a healthier, happier day, taking that visualization and then going through your day with it, saying, okay, well, I know I'm having lunch with girlfriends. I already know what I'm going to choose because I've looked at the menu in advance, and I know my body is going to feel much better if I get that salad and I have the protein on it, I get the dressing on the side, and then just put a little bit on it instead of having the burger and fries. And then I'll feel a little sluggish. I'm not going to feel good. Then I'll have that guilty feeling after, or whatever. There's a whole slew of emotions that can come with that, and then knowing, okay, I get to have dinner with my family. And then afterwards, we'll either go out for our afternoon walk after dinner, and just kind of planning it out, but also planning it out in your mind and planning it from, I get to do this versus I have to do this today.
Yes. I love that. The mental rehearsal. I talk about this a lot. Professional athletes, like you've just confirmed, they all do this. They all do mental rehearsal of how they're going to see themselves achieving success. And you talked about the embodiment of success just now. So it's not just visualizing you achieving it, but you're actually, like almost it's almost like a visceral, like you're tasting it, you're feeling it, you're experiencing it, if there was like wind blowing by, you're feeling the wind and the sun on your skin as you're doing something. So I get to rather than I have to is the mindset shift that I think all of us have. Like we need to, I don't want to say should, because shouldisms are not something that, but that's where we want to be. That's the ideal. That's the goal in terms of like being happy. It's like, there's so many people who would trade to be in our shoes, and we gripe, we complain. Our speech is another thing like that impacts the way that we think and the outcomes of what happens in our life. So if we keep speaking into existence things like, oh yeah, things aren't good, like it's been a crappy day, and I'm not saying be in denial if it wasn't the best day, but you can always find something good. And if you set out at the outset by putting into perspective, like, I will only speak good things today. I'm only going to say good things. I'm only going to call in good things and be really intentional about that. I feel like that is such a game changer. I've seen it in my own life, even when things haven't been going my way, because my timing, as everybody knows, is not God's timing. I want things to happen a lot faster. So, and you're kind of like, well, you just have to remember, like, maybe the whole point of me going through what I'm going through right now, maybe this waiting period is my training ground. Maybe there's some lesson that I need to learn here. And that's the growth mindset kicking in and being conscious of that and consciously choosing, I'm going to adopt a growth mindset. I'm going to look at everything as an opportunity to learn, to grow, to expand, to take myself to the next level, and to be open to whatever blessing, whatever miracle, whatever magic is in that experience of waiting or of things not happening fast enough. So visualization, gratitude, embodiment, mental rehearsal, breath work is not something that we've talked a lot about. But I did kind of want, before we get there, because I would love for us to kind of finish off with breath work, but I do want to talk about like movement throughout the day. You touched on a couple of really awesome things, and I'd just like to make sure that we get clear to people that you don't have to be, I've got to go for an hour at the gym in order to be moving, right? Like
Right.
movement can be all sorts of different things. And, you might have family, children, husband, dog, whatever, something that can help get you outside. And it sounds like you've got all of those.
I got it all. And my mom's at home.
Super mom. So like you mentioned, like, you could take the dog out for a walk. That's some movement throughout the day. What are some other things that you could do throughout the day? Maybe like your top 3 things that people could do throughout the day.
Here's a funny thing. So I have one of those rebounder trampolines. So they're like the
Love
small,
those.
so much fun. I hadn't used it for a while. I've been dealing with this vertigo and a little bit of back stuff going on, but I'm like, I had to upload this video the other day and it took 10 minutes. However, I thought it was only going to take a few minutes. I'm like, oh, I'll just bounce for a little bit. I put it on my watch so I would get credit because, if you don't have it tracked on your watch, it didn't happen. And so I was bouncing. I'm like, okay, cool. I can do this for just 4 minutes. And it's this whole reset. And it's like your lymphatic system, you're getting your heart rate up, you're burning calories. Like in 10 minutes, I burned 80 calories. And I was like, I love this. And I was just doing some bouncing, so it started out as a 4 minutes. I'm like, oh, I can go a few more minutes. Oh, I got a couple more minutes. Wow, it still hasn't uploaded. So 10 minutes later, I'm like, okay, there's my one section of 10 minutes. So these little bits, they add up. So if you did 3 10-minute walks or you get a short workout in your weight training, you could do a bike ride, anything. Now that we have the spring coming here, we had this huge snowstorm the other day. So it was weird, like a hailstorm, but it's gone now. But getting outside, doing all sorts of activities, from just a basic walk in your neighborhood or walking with the kids, doing some hiking, swimming, these new activities are coming around and it's starting out fresh again. And like, what is something you could try that's new this season that you haven't done before? Like maybe pick up volleyball or pick up paddleball. A lot of people are playing pickleball now, and that seems to be a very popular thing everywhere. So, getting outside and knowing this is a lifestyle activity that you're doing. Yes, it's important to get your strength training in and some yoga and stretching, but there's a lot of other things that you can do that add up to give you that full time of exercise.
100%. I love the 10-minute increments. Like I get on my Peloton so I've got a trampoline and a Peloton.
Nice.
And I'm obsessed with the trampoline because during COVID, when I couldn't go to the gym and I was actually stuck in London, so the weather was not amazing. I mean, we could get walks and stuff outside, but it was sort of like it's sort of like March, April. And I remember like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm not moving. I'm sitting on the couch all the time. I'm depressed. My lymph is stagnant. Like my blood's sticky just from being here. So what am I going to do? And I ordered this trampoline on Amazon, and it was the best thing I think I've ever done. And when I've looked into all the benefits of rebounding, it's incredible. Like for women, as you're getting older, your bones need that workout as well. So it's not just calories that you're burning, but you're actually building bone strength. So it's a phenomenal, there's just so much about it. The lymph, the oxygenation to the brain. So there's a cardio workout that's, part of it. And then the bone building and the strength that's going to come along with it. And I immediately started seeing like my legs started toning up, like within a couple of, 3 or 4 sessions, everything, because I think during COVID, like I just remember thinking like, oh my God, all my hard work is going to pot because everything's heading south and it's not.
Gravity will not win.
And I was pretty upset about it because I had worked so hard before. I was telling my husband, I said I used to do a 2-hour spin class. I'd go running in the morning, and I was like, and all that kind of like, I was like, no gym to go to. And I love gyms in the sense that I love classes because I love the idea of working out with other people. And I think some people can relate to that. COVID taught me how to work out by myself. Like I didn't love it initially, but then, you get a kick-ass playlist, you put it on, you start bouncing around. And now if I haven't managed to catch a webinar or a summit or something, I will just stream that to the TV. So I will be working out while learning at the same time, so trying to absorb information. So you can multitask during those times. If you've got kids and you want to get them on the rebounder as well, such a great thing to do with children. They love rebounders.
Absolutely. I'll leave mine out and my youngest will come bounce on it for 5 minutes or so, bing, bing, and just, it's a great reset for them. And, honestly, even if you didn't have a trampoline, what you can do is just let those knees kind of bounce up and down so there's not an impact. That's the other thing I love about the rebounder, because there is no impact. But like you said, it really helps with bone density. If you didn't have the trampoline, you can just do like a small knee bend where you're just kind of bouncing on your own without the trampoline. There's no feet that are leaving the ground or anything. But that's like another simple way that you could do just to kind of get you woke up in the morning. Even if you're just kind of bouncing for a minute or two, that'll help. Like we talked about, the lymphatic system gets the blood flowing, gets the heart pumping. And what that does is it gets the oxygenated blood into your brain. And then you can have those clear thoughts and you can think about your mantras for the day and get that happy, healthy day in.
I couldn't agree more. I actually wanted to add one thing to that. Someone asked me today, they said, because I put a little story out earlier about cholesterol being really important for brain health as you age, but statins obviously lower cholesterol. So people who take cholesterol lowering drugs can be more susceptible to Alzheimer's, dementia, and age-related cognitive decline. And, we've been fed a lot of lies about how dangerous cholesterol is. It's actually the building block of all our sex hormones, right? So I've traditionally, I have a family history of higher cholesterol. Now, my ratios are very, very good. So my LDL to HDL is very, very good. And the reason that is because I do cardio, like with the trampoline or with the Peloton. So someone was asking me earlier, they said, well, how do you elevate your cholesterol? Because I know I've been taking like statin lowering drugs, and now that I'm learning everything that I know, that, statins are not that great because you need cholesterol for your brain and for all sorts of other cool things, for your sex hormones, your hormones in general. I said, well, one of the easiest ways you can do that is to do some element of like HIIT training. And a trampoline is probably one of the safest ways for a woman, to do that. If you want to age gracefully, get on a trampoline.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
love it. I am so happy that you love the trampoline as much as I do.
Oh, it's been a game changer in my life. Like, it makes me happy.
It does. Like, I had realized, like, it had been that long that I was like, I can't believe I forgot about how fun this is. I'm like,
Yeah.
I just stayed focused on my points so I didn't lose my vision there. And I was able to just enjoy it. It was just great.
Yeah, I think it's, you know what? I actually saw like a video like during COVID as well. Like, I saw that Goldie Hawn, because she's in her 70s,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, Goldie Hawn like adores being on the trampoline. And I watched like a couple videos of her like jumping up and down. I was like, if she can do it, then I can do it too. And she looks incredible for her age. So it's a testament to the fact that if you keep moving, if you keep a positive mental attitude, if you stay in that place of gratitude and visualizing good things in your life. I'm not saying life is going to be perfect, just to be clear, like just because you visualize a perfect day or a perfect life doesn't mean it's going to be like that all the time. Like, I just had that experience. I set my intention that today was going to be wonderful, but I got stuck in traffic for like a lot longer than I planned. Something that should have taken an hour took like 2. But you use the time. You're like, okay, well, I'm stuck. What can I do with this? Rather than sit and grumble, I'm like, listen to a podcast, chat with a good friend who's going through some stuff, reconnect with your community, talk to someone in your life, use any sort of obstacles that may show up in your life as opportunities for healing and for growth. So that's the kind of trick when we talk about like managing and mastering your mindset. It's such an important piece. And then like the conscious visualization, you're able to kind of glide through things a lot easier when stuff does come up, stuff that's not as pleasant as you want to. You're able to kind of see yourself handling it with more grace. And that's ultimately the way we want to be moving through life, more gracefully. So we've talked about our fitness goals and what to do to improve our fitness. I actually want to add one thing apart from the trampoline. This is something that, like, if I have had a crazy day and I've kind of been in a lot of meetings and just, haven't had a chance to move a lot, like for about 4 or 5 hours, if I go to the kitchen and I put on, if I go to make some tea or something and I'm waiting for the kettle to boil, I will do push-ups against the counter, because I'm like, push-ups and squats. And I'm like, if I can do like 15 push-ups and 15 squats while I wait for this thing, at least I know you do that a couple times a day, you might get up to about 25 or 30 of them. That's not a bad, and then you go for a little walk later. You kind of have gotten in a mini workout without having to be like, oh, I've got to get my butt to the gym. So like I said, like my mindset, push-ups and squats. Someone say
no, seriously, I love it. And you know what? The other thing I'll throw in there are lunges are really easy to do in your kitchen. Those wide-legged plie squats as you're stirring on the stove, whatever. I have implemented that for my clients. I'm like, it's an extra way. I think of these as bonus. Just a little bonus lift in your booty or a bonus lift for your push-ups. I mean, yeah. And like, doesn't it make you feel good? You're like, I just did another 10 push-ups today. Yeah.
Exactly.
It builds on that. And then it gives you like, ooh, a little bit more motivation. What could I do tomorrow that would do it? Maybe tomorrow I'll try 12 or 2 sets of 7, and just kind of little things like that. And going back to the finding, staying positive and finding the joy. Even on that tough day, finding something little to be grateful for, like a fluffy cloud in the sky. I might not have saw it, even though everything feels like it's gray and dingy, but there is this one little fluffy cloud that I got to see, and I don't say that to make fun, but I do say that to say not everything that you have to be grateful has to be monumental. It can be just a sip of coffee that was just at the right time, or just the right temperature, or just the right sweetness of it. Not too much, not too little, just something where you're like, yeah, that was good. That made a difference. I can count that as a joy. Like with my boys, we'll do that. Like at night, okay, let's think of what were your gratefuls today. And I remind them, I'm like, it doesn't have to be, a great test score. It could just be, I have fun at recess, just reminding them some are going to be bigger and some will be smaller, and that's fine, whatever they are.
I love it. I love it so much. And it's really beautiful to hear that there's so much of what you do that I do as well. Like my husband and I, we do that before we go to, well, we're in bed, but I'll say, okay, tell me 3 things that happened today that were great, like, and that you're happy about and that made you feel good. Like, just tell me. And sometimes he'll be like, nothing. And then I'm like, come on. I was like, come on, you can give me 3 things. And then he'll give me the 3 things. And then I'll tell my 3 things always end up being like 15 things, because once I kind of get into the gratitude headspace, I just sort of keep going. And he's like, all right, let's go to sleep. Like, we got it.
Let's go.
Yeah, like, I got it. Like, you have a lot to be grateful for. So the thing is that, gratitude has been such a transformational tool in my life. And I know some people get agitated by hearing, oh, gratitude. Like, it hasn't always been roses. I tried to explain to someone who was asking me about my origin story the other day. And I said, I moved to England. I was 22 years old. I'd never really been in the cold before. I moved from an island. I slept on couches and couch surfed for years. I went to university and had like 3 jobs and slept on a sofa in order to be able to pay my way through school. And I started my banking job. I was kind of like, I was doing the banking job, but also studying hypnosis and hypnotherapy on the side. So I've always done like multiple things. And right when I thought I was going to be able to open my practice, my ex-husband and I, we split up. So when I thought, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have like the space and the time to do this, we broke up. And I'm like, crap, now I have to stay in the job that I didn't want to stay in. And you just, and life's not easy, right? But you can choose how you face it. And I think I've been fortunate in the way that I've always been studying and always wanting to learn, how do people who are successful and who are happy, because success and happy isn't always the same thing. How do happy, successful people, how do they get through life? So I've read a lot, I've studied a lot. I used to practice a lot of yoga before I hurt my back. I do a lot of Pilates now, because Pilates actually got me walking again and away from surgery. So I'm like a Pilates devotee. I can't do some of the back bends and stuff in yoga. I just can't do them anymore. Like the things that I used to do before, I'm like, I can't do those again. But yoga is really amazing for like helping you get centered and being able to train your mind. And there was something called Drew yoga that I was learning about in England. I don't know if you've heard of that, Laura. Have you heard about Drew yoga?
With that one.
It was created by an osteopath. So the practices they're not very hatha, but you hold poses for a long time. But it's very intentional. In each pose, as you move into it, you're setting an intention with the pose. And before the practice begins, you set the intention for the practice, which you do anyway. But each pose, you're setting an intention with it, which is quite beautiful. So it's very opening. There's a lot of opening involved, but not so much of the back bending. And I've never been able to find Drew yoga anywhere outside of London. So hopefully maybe one day I'll get back into it. But for now, Pilates, squatting in my kitchen, push-ups, trampolining, those are the things that are keeping me, fit into my 40s, heading into my mid 40s, and really enjoying like the fact that my body right now feels like it works better than it did in my 20s.
That's awesome. Well, I love to hear that you have such a great combination and that you found what works for your body, because that is one of the biggest things, is making sure you have the right type of program that will work for your body. And, and if the back bending things don't work, that's great that you've gone to Pilates. So you're getting your strength training, you're getting your rebounding, your cardio, your biking. So you're getting a really well-rounded balance. And that's what it's really all about, is having the cardio, the strength, obviously the good food, the mindset. Those all go together to be that quality, happy, healthy life.
Yeah, that's a nice way to wrap it all up and put it in a bow. So we've got about 2 minutes left, because I thought we would just keep this really short and sweet and, get give everybody who's listening or tuning in a chance to really understand who Laura is, who I am, why we wanted to do this as well, which I feel maybe is a little bit lost in you. But, I've explained a little bit about my story, like coming from small island, but why I was studying psychology was because my grandfather had dementia and he had suffered from severe anxiety for a very long time. So I moved to the UK to study psychology. And then that led to all the other little steps along the way, like all the breadcrumbs, as they say, like just being sort of guided and directed down this path, where I ended up developing my own issues with panic and IBS and anxiety, and realizing that traditional psychotherapy and traditional medicine weren't the things that worked for me, and I had to find an alternative. Otherwise, I would have been stuck on numerous drugs for probably for the rest of my life. And now, so happy to say that it's been about 15 years and I'm completely, drug free. So, and don't need anything. Yeah, it feels pretty good.
Great job.
Yeah, thank you. So that's my why. I want to make sure that nobody else has to go down that path, and that they know what's possible for them if you can get the body to function in a state where it knows what it needs, because it knows what it needs. You just have to give it what it needs. And sometimes the little warning signs or the symptoms that it's giving you, those are the check engine light on the dashboard, and you need to just pay attention and figure out what's going on under the hood. And that's what I do with functional medicine. So just wanted to say that so people understand why I love doing what I do and why I love helping people.
Absolutely. Yeah, my story is similar, but on the movement side, as being a gymnast growing up and then competing through college. And then right after college, I was able to start my first personal training business, having some really great mentors I worked with. And then same thing when I moved down south to Atlanta and out to LA, and then competing professionally all over the world using my dance and gymnastics background and the understanding of the body, which is what I got in my master's degree, was exercise science, because movement has always been a passion of mine. And both my parents were teachers, so I have this way that I guess is innate in me, that I'm able to explain and break it down and share the steps. So whether you're a beginner just getting started or you want to go on to this advanced pretzel-y kind of movement, I can teach you it. I can't necessarily do it anymore myself, but I just listen to what my body can do and I accept it now. But yeah, I think there is movement that can bring joy, and it's just a matter of finding out what kind of movement. Like you said, you found Pilates and liking to find that strength training. What kind of strength training can I bring into your life? Which is why with the Yoga FitLife, I had that combination of the resistance training, whether it's body training, whether it's with your bands or dumbbells. If you're looking for the yoga and getting your heart rate up, we have a lot of yoga and HIIT classes in there, but they're non-impact. There's variables in there, so you can have the variation that works for you.
And that's what this is all about, just taking the steps that work best for you, and finding your balance, finding your normal, finding your baseline, and knowing where to move from there, and start challenging yourself to do a little more each day or each week, and figuring out what that looks like, and working with someone who can guide you, because all the best and most successful people, they all have support. I always liken, if you want to be successful, think of like a tennis player, like Roger Federer, right? Like they have got a huge team around. He's got an acupuncturist, massage therapist, a chiropractor, osteopath, a doctor, a nutritionist. They've got a whole team around them, and that's why they're successful, because they've got someone to help guide them through on all these different levels. And we need that in our own lives as well. We might be lay people, but I need to see a chiropractor every now and then. I love having an osteopath on call whenever I need one. Not too into traditional doctors. I love my naturopathic doctors and osteopaths, but having a team, having a fitness instructor, Pilates instructor, these people are there to help you really embrace who you are and step into the fullness of who you are. So someone like Laura would be a great person for you to work with, because she gets that. She gets, looking at where she can meet you where you're at and helping you blossom and flourish. So if you wanted to reach her, Laura, do you want to share your Instagram handle? Because I don't think they can see it from here, but if you want to share your Instagram handle, then we can, I'll figure out a way to include it.
For sure. So you can find me at Instagram, which is Laura Mak FitLife, and it's Laura, and Mac is MAK, and then FitLife, FITLIFE. So you can meet me there. I'm there daily and talking and sharing yoga tips and strength training and fun foods and just lifestyle, how to live a happy, healthy life.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for today. Thank you for being so generous with your time. Thank you for everybody who's tuned in and who is catching up on the replay of this. I know it's the middle of the day in the Pacific side of things and sort of like mid-afternoon on the Eastern Coast side of things, but I hope that you have found this helpful, useful. If you have questions for us, drop us a DM. Because I haven't been able to see any of the questions really come through by using this streaming piece of software. I've seen a couple of cool comments, but no questions per se. So if you do have questions regarding fitness, please direct them toward Laura. If you have questions regarding visualization and hypnosis and functional lab work to inform your nutrition, then definitely hit me up. I'm here for you. So we'll be seeing you all soon. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you again, Laura.
Thank you so much for having me here.